What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back on the 1st of May. New week, new month, last month of the season. 4 games and a Coppa Italia final still to play for. We can clinch Champions League football on Sunday with a win on Roma. Doubt it, but we should, because that would put everybody at much ease. And also these videos will make more sense because we're going to talk about 100 million euros in transfers, and you heard that right, and I'll explain how in a minute. But before we do that, we're going to talk about Zirkzee, we're going to talk about Sule, Huijsen, and De Gregorio, because they all are part of 100 million or 100 million plus worthy of transfers, and it's only about three players, which is crazy, but that's what it is. Before we do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about the money. So all the news is from Romeo Gresti to start with, so it's good sources, it's good news. We're gonna start off with Zirkzee because he has been linked with us by Di Marzio, by other sources, that we are one of the clubs looking at him. And maybe it's an easy link, we all thought, because Thiago Motta is tipped to be our new coach next season. However, it's just more than that right now, because Romeo is saying that Zirkzee's entourage is talking to Juve, Milan, Inter, and Bayern. In short, they're making moves with many teams. Now, he will cost you 50 million euros, something like that. Do we have 50 million euros to spend on Zirkzee with all the needs we have? No. Am I convinced Chiesa, Vlahovic, Sule all are going to be here? No. And that's where this comes into play. Like I said many times, because people are like, oh, we have Vlahovic. Zirkzee can play between the lines. We play a lot of games next season. If the coach comes in, Motta, and he's like, yeah, I can work with it, and if you let player X go and player Y go potentially, and I can makeshift my midfield a little bit, I can deal with it. I can do my thing with it. Then it makes sense for the coach. Like I've always said, the next coach you bring in, you need to back, not just with players, but with the idea. If that coach, and if it's Motta or if it's Palladino or whoever it is, says, I can play with three midfielders, basically, I can use Zirkzee between the lines, and Zirkzee can drop in whatever, I have my idea. You need to believe that coach. You need to back that coach. You cannot go and say, I'm not so sure about it, because you're the GM or the director of football. You're not the coach. You're not a tactician. You don't need to set up the team. Now, where the GM, Juntuli, needs to come and play is, this is the budget we have. If we do this, that means those guys are going to be your defenders, or we're going to need to sell him for that to be possible. That's what Juntuli needs to do. He needs to work in function of the new coach. If he wants Zirkzee and it's possible, and he's like, I can deal with that department, then you need to back him. You absolutely need to back him, because I think that's where it's gone wrong all this time last season, because it's been a mix of Allegri wants these players, but he's also getting these players, and it's a mix that completely mismatched. You already had a team that was struggling, and you added players somebody want and players somebody didn't really want, and you got, serve this like garbage, basically. So you need to back the next coach. Now 100 million, that's 50-60 million. The other 100 million is outgoing, and this is from Tutto Sport, by the way. I still believe Sule is gone. I don't see a scenario where Sule is going to be here next season. I really don't. I really struggle to see that. And the news from Tutto Sport is saying, it's actually funny, because they're saying Aston Villa are looking to replace Zaniolo. The funny part is we will get linked with Zaniolo. We will get linked to Zaniolo, which is funny, banter, shocking, but we will be linked with him, because the club will contact Zaniolo's agent 110%. If an offer of 40 million euro were to come in, it will be difficult for Juve to resist. I will tell you this. If an offer of 40 million euro comes in, it's not about difficult. The club will accept. They will accept the moment some team says 40 million euros. Juntili will say, okay. They will say, okay, no matter what, they will go to Mota or whatever, even if he says I want Mota, and they will tell him, I get it, but it's 40 million euros. That's straight on the books. Plus Valencia wise, that will do miracles for the club right now. So Mota, Palladino, we can give you Zirkzee potentially. However, this guy, 40 million euros, he's out no matter what. If an offer of 30 million euros comes in, he's gone. Will an offer of 40 million euro come in? No. I don't think anyone is going to offer 40 million euro for Zaniolo. I'll be absolutely stunned if somebody offers 30 million. Because at the end of the day, he's doing well, but he's still playing for Frosinone. And even Premier League teams are not going to pay 40 million euros for a player that is playing for a club that potentially is going to go to the Serie B. It's just not going to happen. Like, I really don't think that's going to be the case. So if an offer comes in 40 million, of course the club will take it. However, there's absolutely no chance anyone is going to offer 40 million. Now, we talked about him being a talking point during the transfer window, and we will talk about it. So I don't want to talk about it now, but my stance remains the same. I think he's gone. Now, the following is kind of a weird one. It's Di Gregorio, and I said so many times that all the issues we have, I don't want to talk about goalkeepers in the summer. Like, that's the last on my list. I know the club needs to think ahead. And Romeo is saying that Di Gregorio to Juve is a real lead. The player's agent and Juve management are talking. It remains to be seen what choice Juve will make between Chesney and Perin, with the latter being easier to replace, basically to be moved on. Because you can move on Perin much easier than the other goalkeeper. Because of his contract, maybe, and also his wage. It's not 7 million euros or 6.5, whatever. So you can do that. Chesney still has a 1-year deal. I don't think Chesney is going to stay beyond this season. I know the club will like it. Chesney will like it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Chesney will do one last thing. I like Chesney a lot. So I get that the club needs to think about the succession. But we have so many issues that I'm like, oh man, 20 million euros or whatever for Di Gregorio this summer off the budget. That's a big blow. That's a big blow for what we need. You know, if you can strike some sort of deal that it can be paid later on, or even Di Gregorio's like, I'm okay with staying with Monza for another year because I don't want to be the backup to Chesney, which is also weird. I don't think he's coming in and he's like, yeah, we'll sit out a year. I don't think that's good for the vibe he's in right now, you know, because he's in an extremely well form, like in great form. I don't think sitting him for a year is going to do wonders. I think it's going to be creating more issues. So maybe it is, we sign you, and are you okay with staying with Monza for a season, because the following season Chesney is gone, you're gonna be the number one. Maybe I'm just saying something, but sitting him for a year, I don't think that's smart. But it's a real track, you know. We are in from Di Gregorio, excuse me, and it feels like he is gonna be a potential real number one target in the summer. Now, on the really quickly, he's an Inter fan. It is what it is, you know. Chiellini was a Milan fan, like Maldini was a Juve fan. Like, it is just what it is. And actually, he played in the U team more so than being a fan. And even if he's a fan, like, they're professionals, and it is what it is. Like, at the end of the day, Chiellini supported Milan. Like, he's a diehard Juve fan. Now that changes. Like, we cannot be like that. I'm not bothered about that. Even like Thiago Motta played for Inter, and I'm like, so what? You know, Conte was a legend, and he went to Inter, won a Scudetto. Inter fans praise him. Like, you know how football is. We're all like that. So I'm not worried about that at all. But he is a real target. And to wrap it up, Romeo Gresti talked about Huijsen, and funnily enough, he actually said what I said. You know, and he said Juve wants a bet on Huijsen, not for next season, but for the season after. The intention has already been made clear to his entourage. However, it has to be seen what will be the vision of those close to him for next year, especially after his loan at a team like Roma. That's what I said all month when he was going to Roma. I was like, if you tell him you're not going to be part of the plan next season, he's not going to go out on loan to, I don't know, just name it, Monza. He's not going to do that. He's going out on Roma on loan. He wants to go back to a club of that magnitude. And Roma are not going to loan him again to develop your player. That was just a last resort, you know, in the summer, in the January. No money, and yeah, we take Huijsen because we need a defender. We have so many issues with Smalling out and all those issues. That's not going to happen again. So he will demand to play, or I think be sold in the summer. You know, with his agent, the way things work, in my opinion, with the statements he put out, I was like for every weird report, there's a statement from Huijsen. I was like, he needs to find a proper agency because you cannot really do that. My feeling is what it was a couple of weeks ago, that if the club tells him you will be part of the plan the following season, now you need to go on loan to play team X, he will be like, I'm done. You know, loan me out to a top club, and if not, I will be sold. That's what I think is going to happen. You know, I have that feeling. But we need to see, because that backline needs to be fixing, and Bremer is apparently on the move, potentially. Calafiori is coming in. It still needs a lot of work. So that's one we need to keep a close eye on, because I think a decent transfer fee will make the club think, even in this case. But let me know in the comments what you think. Zirkzee, Sule, Di Gregorio, and this Huijsen situation, which is a very interesting, especially midway through the summer window, in my opinion. But let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Ciao.